Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning. Okay, let's start. Yeah, I will wait for 1 more minute in case anybody else joins. Okay, miss, let's take attendance please quickly. I allowed you to unmute yourselves. Yalla, let's start. Sarah Isa,
Yes, miss.
Leah Bastani, Sarah Balhas is not here. Abbas, Abbas, Sabine,
Here.
Alma,
Here.
سيرين فتونة.
Here.
روا.
Here.
علي فادي بسمة.
Here.
علي حسن بسمة.
Here, miss.
غدي. تيا. فاطمة.
Here.
جابي.
Here.
هادي فضل الله.
Here.
إسماعيل.
Here, miss.
آدم. هديل.
Here.
سارة حمادة.
Here.
مايا.
Here.
سنين نجدة.
Here.
كريم.
Here.
أحمد سلهى. أمجد.
Here, miss.
Okay. يلا let's start. So yesterday we were talking about the narrative essay, and we talked about the elements of the narrative essay. We said that a narrative essay has some elements which are called the elements of a story, because a narrative essay is a story. So we talked about the elements of a story, which are the title, the characters, the setting, which means the time and place, as well as the conflict, the thesis, the events, and the ending, then the lesson learned. These are the elements of a narrative essay. And as you know, these elements are very important because they develop the narrative essay and they build up a story. We also talked about the tense used in narrative essays, which is the past tense. And the reason is that when we narrate a story, we are narrating a story that happened with us in the past. It's not happening in present, and it will not happen in future. We are narrating a story that took a place in the past. So this is what we explained till now, right? Okay, we also talked about the story map that we are going to fill before developing our essay, instead of the outline that we used to fill in an expository essay. Okay? Now we are going to talk about planning the narrative essay. What do we mean by planning the narrative essay? When I say planning the narrative essay, it means, how do I write the narrative essay? How do I develop the narrative essay? First of all, miss, as you know, we start with the introductory paragraph or with the introduction. In the introduction, there are three very important points. The first important point is the hook. The second important point is the brainstorming. And the third important point is the thesis statement. So when you write the introduction, first of all, you have to start with a hook, which is a catchy and attractive sentence that attracts the reader to continue reading. Then you have to write a brainstorming information. Yani, for example, let's say that you are narrating a story about a time when you traveled with your friends, okay? So you might start your essay with a hook about traveling, about friendship, something which is attractive. Then you start with the brainstorming, which is giving general information about the idea. Yani you might give general information about traveling. Then you write the thesis which shows the main idea of the essay, okay? And it shows what is the story about. Now, let's see, what does the thesis include? The thesis will depend upon the story to be proven. What does this mean? It means that the thesis will be the main idea of the story. And the thesis can be something general in the case of a narrative essay. Yani, in the expository essay, the thesis was very specific. Yani, for example, smoking has many negative effects on health. This is very specific in expository. In negative, it might be very general. For example, you may write, oftentimes people do not follow simple directions. However, these campers learned just how important following directions can be. So here the thesis shows that when you follow directions, you are going to reach the correct way. But when you don't, you are going to be lost. So from this thesis statement, we can tell that the story is about campers who lost their way, maybe, because they didn't follow the directions. So that's why I'm telling you, in the narrative, a thesis can be somehow general. What would you expect from the thesis? Yani, what should the reader know or get information from the thesis? The reader will expect to learn why following directions is important. We are still in the same example, about following the directions. As the reader, you will expect to read a story about camping. أكيد أنا when I'm reading such a thesis statement, دغري رح أعرف إنه the story that I am going to read is about camping or about campers who haven't followed the directions. As the reader will expect there to be a twist in the action. يعني حتى the reader will expect that something exciting is going to happen. Hello, what can you use for a thesis statement? يعني, what are the things that you can write in the thesis statement and might be helpful for you? You can write a saying or a quote that teaches a lesson. But of course, this quote or saying must be related to the topic. You must think about lessons learned from fables, from any other stories that you have read before. You can think about a time when you learned something valuable. You can read quotations to swap ideas. You can read your own journals for a time something happened worth telling others. And even in the thesis, you can write a short story, you can write a quote or a saying, a narrative عم نحكي, only a narrative, to show others that you are that something happened to you. Okay, so this is what we mean by writing the thesis. Yesterday we explained this and we explained the transitional words. Now please concentrate. هيدول the most important 3 slides in the whole lecture. Okay, let's see. This is the introduction. Imagine that this is the introduction. Okay, look what they're going to do here.